The silence on all frequencies. The galaxy was never quiet. Every moment, thousands of ships talked across the stars. Signals moved faster than light. Trade reports, war commands, diplomatic chatter, it was endless. But today, something felt wrong. The humans had gone silent. It started with Fleet Omega-7. A powerful group of human warships was patrolling near the neutral zone of the Crixan sector. Other species often avoided this area, not humans. They called it the Watch Point. It was one of their key strategic locations. And now, there was nothing. No signal. No ping. No movement. At first, the Galactic Watch assumed it was a simple glitch, maybe a solar flare or a communications blackout. But 1 hour turned into 2, then 6, then 12. The silence stayed. The Terran Union was known for its discipline. Human fleets always checked in every 2 hours without fail. But now, not one ship from Omega-7 had responded in over a day. Sensors couldn't find their energy signatures. Surveillance drones sent toward their last location vanished. No distress beacons, no wreckage. Just empty space. Commander Jaxel of the Valari Empire stared at the hologram in his war room. No fleet disappears like this. Not even humans. He muttered. His advisors stood silent. Jaxel had fought humans before. He knew how dangerous they were: clever, unpredictable, and fiercely united. If they were quiet, it wasn't because they were dead. It was because they didn't want to be found. Across the galaxy, other empires began to notice too. The Zaran Republic, the Altari Conglomerate, the Hestari Swarm, and even the cold-blooded Drex Dominion, all of them had the same reports. Human patrols missing, stations unresponsive, fleets gone dark. The 5 most powerful empires of the galaxy called for an emergency summit. Inside the massive council dome on the neutral world of Varian, leaders gathered. Tension hung heavy in the air. These were species who normally hated each other. But today, fear made them allies. The humans are preparing something, said Chancellor Varix of the Drex. His voice was sharp, robotic. They are not dead. They are hiding, or they have found something beyond even us, added Supreme Seer Olan of the Zarn. Her eyes glowed with unease. Something they don't want us to know about. But why the silence? Asked Admiral Kor of the Altari. Even in war, humans talk. This is different. The Velari commander stood slowly. Because maybe they're not at war, Jaxel said. Maybe they're hunting. Silence filled the room again. Everyone in the galaxy had stories of human tactics. They weren't the most advanced species. They didn't have the biggest ships. But they were survivors, fighters. And above all, they were planners. If they went quiet, it meant something was already in motion. Back near the border, a scout drone from the Hestari Swarm picked up a strange reading. Faint radiation trails. Twisted space. Like something large had moved through the area, faster than light, but left no signature. The drone followed it. And then, nothing. No transmission. No data. Just another point of silence in the growing shadow. In the Terran home system, Earth itself remained calm. Civilians carried on like usual. But to outside observers, something felt controlled, too normal. As if they were hiding fear behind smiles. Galactic news outlets began reporting the silence. Panic started in fringe colonies. Alien traders left human space in fear. Rumors spread like wildfire. The humans have disappeared. They're building a super weapon. They've unlocked something ancient. The phrase repeated across hundreds of channels. No word from the human fleets. At the Council Dome, the empires had to decide what to do. Do we wait? Asked one ambassador. Do we strike? Asked another. But Jaxel said nothing. His eyes were locked on a screen. A live map of known human fleet routes, one by one. Blinking red. Gone. Offline. And then a small blip dot just for a second. A human signal, deep in uncharted space. Weak, fragmented, and then gone again. They tried to decode it. But only one sentence came through clearly. Do not follow. Everyone froze. Was that a threat? Someone asked, or a warning? Said another, but no answer came. Only more silence. Asterisk, when empires fear the unknown. The signal was gone. Just one message. Broken, distorted, but clear enough to send. Shivers across every empire. Do not follow. The council. Dome remained in stunned silence. Even the Drex, who never showed fear, kept quiet. The warning felt personal, deliberate. Like the humans were speaking directly to those who were watching. Admiral Kor of the Oltari broke the silence. If they don't want us to follow, we must. No, snapped Commander Jaxel. That's exactly what they expect. Exactly, replied Kor. And that's why we must get there first. The empires didn't trust each other. They never had. But now, mistrust had turned into something worse, paranoia. What if one of them made contact with the humans first? What if one empire gained access to whatever secret the Terrans were hiding? So they all made the same decision. In secret, 5 empires, 5 fleets, all launched at the same time heading toward the last known coordinates of the vanished humans. What they didn't know was that they were being watched. High above the galaxy, far beyond the known lanes of travel, a small black object floated silently. No lights, no signals. It didn't look like a ship, more like a shadow stitched into space. But it was alive. Inside it, a single human sat in a sleek black chair, his face calm, his eyes tracking dozens of blinking dots on a holographic map. 5 fleets incoming, he said softly. Dot behind him, more shadows stood silent, motionless. These were no ordinary humans. Their armor shimmered like oil in water. Their weapons were sealed, but ready. Their mission had already begun. The man pressed a single button. Back in real space, near the coordinates of the missing fleet Omega-7, the first alien ships arrived. The Velari destroyer Farsight dropped out of warp. Behind it, a full escort group. Area looked empty. Just cold stars. Dust. The ghost of a nebula in the distance. But no wreckage. No human ships. Captain Threx of the Farsight frowned. Scan everything. Full spectrum. Scouts spread out. Sensors reached deep. But the void offered nothing, until one scout ship VX-09 sent back a strange report, not from the outside, from inside its own systems. Captain, the pilot said, trembling, we're picking up a signal inside our computers. A voice, human, turned back, and then the ship powered down, dead, floating, gone. The rest of the fleet pulled back in fear. Something was in the system, something watching them from inside their own technology. At the same time, the Drex fleet entered from the opposite side. They didn't come to explore. They came with weapons ready. Drex believed in force. Diplomacy was weakness. Their war cruisers began launching probes, scanning every direction. But one by one, the probes vanished. Mid-flight. Not destroyed, not jammed. Just removed. As if someone erased them from reality. Inside the Drex command ship, alarms blared. A ripple in space formed just ahead. It wasn't natural. The captain leaned forward. What is that? A shadow emerged. A massive black object shaped like a blade slowly rotated in the void. It made no sound. No comes, no warning. And then, in an instant, it was gone. Like a ghost fading through a wall, the Drex captain gave the order. Retreat. For the first time in centuries, the Drex chose to run. In the council dome, News began to arrive. The Hastari scouts were lost. The Altari fleet had vanished from Combs. The Zarn ship reported seeing a human beacon, but when they reached it, all they found was a recording of themselves, sent from the future. The message? You shouldn't have come. Panic gripped the council. 5 empires, 5 different missions. One result: confusion, fear, and silence. Commander Jaxel stood alone in his chamber. He had seen war. He had survived human cunning. But this was something else. He watched the reports again and again. Not for data, but for patterns. Then he noticed something. Each fleet had been led to a trap, but not a deadly one. No one had died. No shots fired. No bodies found. Only fear. Only warnings. Why? He whispered. Why not attack? That's when a message came through to him, directly encrypted, and marked as human. He opened it. It was a single sentence. This is not a war. This is your only chance to listen. His heart pounded. The humans hadn't vanished. They hadn't retreated. They had chosen silence. For a reason. But what were they trying to stop? And why now? The hidden message from the void, the encrypted message, spread faster than light. Across all 5 empires, leaders received the same words. This is not a war. This is your only chance to listen. But the message had no source, no origin code, no return path. It appeared inside military servers, inside deep vaults, even inside private chambers. That scared them more than any fleet ever could, because if humans could send messages into secured systems, what else could they do? The council dome, now half empty, called another emergency session. The Velari and Zarn representatives arrived. In silence, the Drex refused to join. The Hastari had gone completely dark. The Altari fleet was missing no ships, no signals, no wreckage. Nothing. Commander Jaxel stood at the center of the chamber, staring at the blinking hologram. The sentence still floated in front of him, glowing softly. This is your only chance to listen. What are we supposed to listen to? Asked Sir Olan, her voice barely above a whisper. No one answered. Then, suddenly, a second signal appeared. Not encrypted this time, but ancient. The data format hadn't been used in over 300 years. Most systems didn't even recognize it. It was like someone had pulled a forgotten language out of a digital grave. They decoded it manually. The message was short, broken into static-filled parts. The voice was human, male, calm but urgent. Fleet Omega-7. Contact established. Anomaly found. Time is no longer stable. Repeat. Do not follow. We are not alone. And then silence. Alan's hands trembled. Not alone? What does that mean? They found another species? Jaxel shook his head. Not a species. An anomaly. Something that broke time itself. At the edge of known space, the Drex fleet moved closer to the anomaly zone. They had ignored the warning. They believed in dominance, not fear. Their scanners picked up something strange, a tear in space, like a rip in fabric, hovering in the void. Their top scientist stared at the readings. It's not natural. It's not even physical. This shouldn't exist. They launched a drone toward it. The drone passed through the tear and vanished. Not exploded, not crushed, just disappeared. Then the readings changed. The drone was sending signals back, but the date stamp was wrong. The messages were coming from 10 years in the future. Inside the drone's footage, the Drex saw something horrifying. Fleets floating dead in space, stars flickering like candles, and a shadow so large it blocked an entire galaxy. And in the center of the screen, a human ship, but not one they recognized. It had no engines, no weapons. It looked like it was made of pure black light. It wasn't built for war. It was built to hold something in. The footage ended with a whisper. We were too late, the Drex panicked. Their fleet turned around, but something followed them. Not a ship, not a creature. A presence. Their systems failed. Lights flickered. II cores screamed. And then, silence. Back in the council dome. Jaxel pieced it all together. The humans had found a dimensional rift, a wound in reality itself. Didn't disappear. They went through it. And whatever was on the other side was dangerous. Beyond understanding. Beyond physics. Beyond time. That's why they warned everyone. That's why they silenced their fleets. Because this wasn't just a threat to humanity. It was a threat to everything. Meanwhile, on a quiet moon near the galactic rim, a single human stood inside a small station. Around him were strange machines, half tech, half organic. The walls hummed with unknown energy. He tapped into a console and spoke calmly. Phase 1 complete. All 5 empires have seen the message. A voice answered from the shadows. Do they understand? Not yet, the man replied. But they will, soon. He looked out of the window, far beyond the stars. Something moved. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Coming closer. At the same moment, a final human message reached the council. This one had video. Captain's log from Fleet Omega 7. Damaged. Corrupted. But clear enough to bring chills. We found it. The captain sighed, his voice shaking. We followed the signal. It wasn't from this galaxy. It was from inside the rift. We thought it was a new civilization, maybe ancient tech. But it wasn't a civilization. It wasn't tech. It was static. Cut the message for 10 seconds. Then the last words came through. It watches thought. It remembers fear. It feeds on the minds of those who look too closely. We closed the door. We sealed the rift, but sealing it changed us. If you open it again, there won't be a galaxy left to warn. Asterisk the forbidden system, they called it the villain. Expanse a dead zone in space, no ship ever charted, no beacon ever touched. No. Every empire was heading there. Despite the warnings. Despite the fear, curiosity won. They wanted answers. They wanted control. They wanted to know what the humans had. Sealed. Commander Jaxel tried to stop them. He sent messages to all 5 empires. He replayed the human logs. He begged them to wait. But no one listened. Pride had taken over. If the humans found power, we must take it before they return, said Admiral Kor of the Altari. If they sealed something, we must see what it is. And so they sent their fleets into the Valen expanse. Drex arrived first. Their sensors scanned for human ships. None. But what they found was worse. In the center of the system, floating above a dead star, was a black ring, perfectly shaped, silent, cold. No radiation. No heat. No movement. Just the ring. It was huge, 10 times the size of any ship ever built. It rotated slowly, not powered by engines, but by something else. Something unseen. They sent a drone through it. The moment it crossed the center, it disappeared. The data it sent back showed stars bending, time stuttering, and an echo of voices, millions of voices whispering at once. Then the feed cut off. The Hestari fleet followed. Instead of sending a drone, they launched a manned scout ship. It entered the ring and didn't return. 3 hours passed. Then the ship came back. Empty. Its systems fried. The walls inside were covered with writing. Not human, and not from any known species. It pulsed with strange energy. Scientists tried to scan it, but when they did, the ship's engine exploded without fuel, without fire. It simply vanished, taking 4 other ships with it. In the council dome, panic spread. Jaxel stood before the remaining leaders, his voice cold. You were warned. They told us. This was not ours to open. But it is already open, said Seer Olan of the Zarn, and something is coming through. She showed a new recording from deep inside the ring. A single human ship, barely visible. In the shadows, it wasn't moving. It wasn't attacking. But it was glowing blue lines across its hull, like it was alive. The strange part? The timestamp on the footage said the ship had been there for over 1,000 years. But that was impossible. Humans had only been in space for 200. How can a human ship be that old? Jaxel asked. No, said Olan, not old. Out of time. Inside the Velen expanse, something was changing. The ring began to pulse. Waves of invisible energy swept across the system. Communications broke down. Warp drives failed. Ships drifted, powerless from the ring. Something emerged not a ship, not a creature. A shape made of light and shadow, ever shifting. It had no face, no form, yet every crew member felt it in their minds. It whispered without sound. It showed them. Things, memories, fears, deaths that hadn't happened yet. And then, it spoke. Why did you return? Ships turned, trying to escape, but the exits were closed, not by force, by thought. Every pilot, every soldier, froze. The entity wasn't attacking their ships, it was attacking their minds. One by one, the fleets. Shut down not by damage, but by fear. The Velari fleet, the Drex, the Altarial silenced. And above them, high in orbit, the human ship moved at last. Its engines didn't burn. It didn't fly. It shifted as if space itself bent to let it pass. From the ship, a voice was sent across the galaxy. You were told not to follow. This was your final warning. Back on Varian, Commander Jaxel received the message. He stood alone in the dark, watching stars blink out on his map one by one. Behind him, a figure stepped into the light. A human, but not like before. His eyes glowed with silver light. His skin looked normal, but it wasn't. Something ancient, something beyond, was inside him. You weren't supposed to be here, the human said. Jaxel raised his hands. What did we open? The human sighed. Not a weapon, not a god. A thought that learned to survive. Jaxel trembled. Can it be stopped? No, the human said. It can only be contained. And then the lights dimmed. The ring in the Velen expanse pulsed again this time. Brighter. The forbidden system had been touched. The universe would never be the same. Asterisk. Return of the Silent Armada. The galaxy waited in fear. Empires had sent their fleets into the Velen expanse. None had returned. No messages. No survivors. No wreckage. Just silence. Again. The same kind of silence that started it all. But this time, it felt different. This was not a mystery. This was a warning fulfilled. And then, the humans returned. One by one, black ships appeared in systems across the galaxy. They didn't arrive by warp. They simply appeared. No light, no sound, no ripple. In space, as if reality accepted their presence without question. Each ship was massive, smooth, no visible weapons, no engines, no name tags, but they glowed faintly, like stars hidden behind fog. People froze. These weren't the same ships that vanished weeks ago. They were cleaner, sharper, more alive. As if they had been reborn. In the Velari system, the first human ship hovered silently over a defense platform. No message. No response. The Velari scrambled fighters. Missiles locked. But before they could fire, every weapon system shut down all at once. No explosions. No hacks. Just off. Then a single message appeared on every screen. We are watching. Across the galaxy, the same thing happened. On Zarn trading routes, on Altari battlefronts, even in Drex-controlled space, human ships arrived one per system. Silent, Still, not attacking. Not answering. Just watching. Governments panicked. Are we under invasion? Asked Admiral Kor's replacement. No, whispered Sir Olan. This is not war. Then what is it? Judgment. On Varian, inside the abandoned Council Dome, Commander Jaxel stood alone as the last transmission played on the central HOLO- screen. It came from the heart of the Velen expanse. The ring. Now broken. Floating. In pieces. A final human log played sent from what remained of Fleet Omega-7. The voice was the same captain as before, but calmer now. We opened something we shouldn't have. It didn't kill us. It changed us. We passed through thought, through time, through memory. We saw every possible future and every terrible end. We chose one. The image shifted to show a giant construct deep in space. A structure built around a flickering star. It looked like a cage. Or a seal. We didn't return to fight, the voice continued. We returned to contain it. You won't understand. Not yet. But soon you'll see. Until then, stay where you are. The log ended. The screen turned black. In the Altari capital, a group of scientists reviewed long-range scans of one of the new human ships. They couldn't believe what they found. The ship wasn't built with any known metal. Its hull was layered with something not from the periodic table. Something organic. More shocking than that, the ship was generating time around it, like a field bending moments, slowing clocks, distorting sensors. It's not just a ship. One whispered. It's a message. 1 week passed. The human ships never fired a shot, never spoke another word. Then, one by one, they vanished, just like before. But this time, the galaxy didn't celebrate. It held its breath. Something had changed. The humans weren't warriors anymore. They were keepers of something the galaxy couldn't understand. And though they were gone again, every empire knew they were not alone. Because now, in the corner of every sensor screen, a blinking dot would appear for a second, then disappear. A presence. A reminder that the silent armada could return at any time. Far beyond the edge of the galaxy, in a place no star lit, a human fleet floated quietly around a swirling mass of darkness. They formed a ring, a seal. The voice of the captain spoke again, this time only to his crew. It's still asleep, but not for long. Hold the line. The new order of the stars, the galaxy changed, not through war, not through conquest, but through fear, through understanding. Empires no longer sent fleets into the unknown. No one dared approach the Velen expanse. Not since the return. The silent armada had vanished again, but its message remained. We are watching. That was enough. On the capital world of the Zorith Union, meetings were no longer held about expanding borders. Now they discussed defense not against humans, but against what the humans had sealed. They aren't protectors, one diplomat muttered. They're wardens. Then the question is, said another. What have they imprisoned? No one had an answer. In secret, small cults began forming, worshippers of the Star Walkers. Their name for the transformed humans. They claimed silence was divine. That Earth had become something beyond civilization, a force of balance. Few believed the humans had sacrificed their humanity to protect everyone else. And maybe they were right. Meanwhile, in an isolated station at the edge of Drek's territory, sensors flared once again. A dot, faint, cold, silent dot, and then another, and another. 5. Total. No ships appeared. No warnings followed. Just the blinking lights. Then they vanished, but the message was clear. The seal is weakening. On a barren moon, in a human listening post forgotten by most governments, 2 operators sat watching deep space feeds. They didn't wear uniforms anymore. No medals. No ranks. Just black suits with no logos. One of them leaned forward as a strange. Waveform pulsed on the screen. Same as before? The other asked. No, this one's older. They stared in silence. Finally, the younger one spoke. Are we ready? The older operator didn't answer at first. Then he smiled calmly. We've been ready for a long time. He pressed a button. A soft hum began under the station. Floor lights shifted from blue to white. A hidden chamber opened behind them. Inside it floated a seed of light alive, breathing, the final creation of the silent armada back on Earth. It could still be called that the sky no longer showed stars the way it once did. Instead, faint lines danced across space. Time itself had grown thinner there. The planet had become a beacon. A center. No longer just a home to humans. No. Earth was the anchor of the galaxy's balance. It didn't send ships anymore. It didn't broadcast. It simply existed, and that was enough. Empires built their borders around it like a sacred place. No one approached without permission. No one dared. In the final council of the 5 empires, a decision was made. We will no longer interfere with the expanse, said the last elder of the Krell. And if it breaks? The others asked. We won't stop it, he replied. But they will. He pointed upward, and everyone looked. They didn't see anything, but they all felt it. Something above them. Around them. Watching. Guiding. Protecting. And so the galaxy entered. A new age. The age of silence. Not because people were afraid to speak. But because they finally learned to listen. Asterisk.